All right, we have Jordan Spieth here, and I just wanted to do a comparison, driver versus a shorter iron, and just point out some things that he's doing differently with these two clubs. First thing we see here, if we draw a line from his chin, you can definitely tell his hands are kind of hanging directly under his chin with the driver, and here you can see his hands are inside of his chin. I think this is a good way to go about it. I mean, he might be reaching just a touch here, but, I'm not going to question anything he does. He's one of the best players on tour today. So just wanted to point that out. And, right, I'm not a big fan of trying to stand the same distance as far as where your hand should be from the ball or in relationship to your chin. So I think that's a good trait. Now, another thing here that we'll look at is I like how he cocks his head here a little bit at address. This will allow for a freer upper body turn. Alright, so as we pull him back here with his short iron, if you watch his right knee, he definitely triggers the shot right here. How he kicks that in, and that kind of gets momentum going with his body before his hands want to draw back. It also tells me he's not been taught a lot, that he's more of a homemade type of move, and I like that about him, how he kind of gets going like that. Also, you'll see his right thumb here comes off the club. That's another good way to break tension. So by triggering with the right knee and kind of milking the club or regripping it there, it's hard to get frozen over the ball before you go. Now here, I think it's where we've caught him later in the swing. He's not triggering it, but he pretty much does that with all of his shots. You'll even see it a forward press with his hands at times. But let's go ahead and swing him back to the top here. So there goes the trigger. Here comes the big turn. The lower body kind of not a big turn from the core. He's kind of turning his upper body against his lower. So we'll go ahead and pull him back here. You can see with his head here, he definitely drives down and forward a little bit. That's where if you watch his left knee, it definitely comes forward here, kind of pushing him towards the ball. Right leg's trying to compensate a little bit to have an equal distance there as far as how they're moving. Now as we get to the top, I'm going to draw just a line across his hands. So you can see here where the club head is in relationship to his hands, and you can see here club head's under his hands. So he's definitely allowing himself a freer swing with the driver so he can get a better timing on it and a little bit more power. Here he's not so much concerned about that because he's trying to be more accurate with this shorter iron. So I think this is a good trait to have. It's hard to swing every club the same length back, and definitely the longer clubs you would want to have a little bit more freedom with. Another trait of his is if you look at his left wrist, it's definitely in a bowed position, which can help getting to a good impact position, but I think one of the reasons he does this is he has a weak left-hand grip, and this kind of helps compensate for what a weak left-hand grip can do to the club face. Because if you look at his face right now, it's in a really good position here with his driver. It's about as neutral as you can get. Alright, so let's go ahead and bring him back down into the ball. Now, I want you to focus on his right foot, the differences he'll make with the driver and an iron here. So with the driver here first, you're going to see he's going to get a little bit more up on his toe. Right leg's kind of leaning in harder. And that way, you can tell that there's more speed and it's more dynamic move. And you would definitely want to look more like this with a wood than you would with one of your shorter irons. You can see where he keeps his right foot more planted here. And that's just where it's a more controlled swing. He has really good core rotation. You can see his belt and hips are already through the ball. That means he's leading with his body and uncoiling before just throwing his hands at it. Shoulders are staying a little bit more square to the target. They might be just a touch open, but yeah, that's pretty good body positions there. Now as we keep coming through, a unique trait of his is where his club gets a little vertical compared to where his initial swing plane line was. And if you've ever seen him from a face-on view, you can tell where his left elbow starts to bow up a little. So you'll definitely see it here where it kind of gets disconnected from him and interrupts his stroke a little. And that's why you see more of a higher finish from him than some other players. But again, it works for him. It's about getting all these things to match. You know, if you try to make a perfect golf swing, whatever that is, you know, you're going to have a long day trying to ever accomplish this. You know, Jordan does a good job of being him, you know, making sure the things that he does all match up to hit the ball squarely and straight. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of do a brief analysis on him, some of the things that he does throughout his swing, and some of the different traits he's doing with a shorter club compared to a longer one. So yeah, I hope y'all have a good day, and thank you.